Today's question comes from Kathy, and she said, other towns are receiving funds from the state to redo their sidewalks. How can Darien receive funding to improve sidewalks? And she mentioned specifically Tokenique Road. And she asked also, or are sidewalks and the construction of them the responsibility of the building owners?
So lots to unpack there. I'll answer this in a few ways. First of all, with regard to state funding, I'm not aware of any state funding we've ever qualified for repair of sidewalks. So, for example, if you've been driving around town, there's some sidewalk repair going on the north side of the post road across from the YMCA. So that's between kind of basically Salt Box to get over to the Stanford town line. It's there on the north side of the post road. Because that's a state road, it's taken us 2 years to get the state to cough up permits to allow us to do this work. And by the way, we do that at our own expense. The state comes in and has all these requirements and permits and applications that you have to submit to do sidewalk work on roads they own. And they make you jump through all these hoops, and they don't give you a dime to actually do the work. And so after all this time, we finally got what we need to fix that section of sidewalks, but we do not get any state support for any of that stuff. So anyway, just talking with our staff and Public Works Department, they're all quite frustrated by that. And I am, in this conversation, not conveying the tone of the frustration that I heard when we talked about sidewalks. But if you think about our sidewalks more generally, we do have a pretty good program for investing in keeping the sidewalks we have in good repair. The next round of repairs are going to involve the sidewalks along Mansfield from basically the post road up towards Royal School. Those are all pretty heavily trafficked sidewalks, and I know they want to do some repair work there. The only other thing I would add in terms of new sidewalks, a lot of times that can be pretty hard to do for a couple reasons. One is sometimes the sidewalks that some folks are proposing don't actually serve that many people. So if you think about where do I want to put sidewalks, I want to put them between sort of major destination areas, say from schools to downtown or downtown to maybe a major park, where when people use the sidewalks, there's going to be a lot of people using them. We've had requests for sidewalks that really only benefit a few residents. A good example is one that folks have pressed for a long time along Hoyt Street to try to put in a sidewalk that would help residents get up to the New Canaan train station. The town of New Canaan has not been willing to invest on their side of the sidewalk project if we were to put that in, and most of it would be in New Canaan. But the other problem you have is that there are very few residents that would actually use this sidewalk to get up to that station. And estimates that we had 15 years ago as to what the cost with that would be exceed $600,000. And so I think as a town, one of the lenses that we want to look at for any sidewalk project is not just cost, which in this case is non-trivial, but also how many residents would it benefit. That's the same criteria that we use for flooding projects. You don't want to go spend millions of dollars on a flooding project that's only going to benefit 4 or 5 homeowners. Same thing with sidewalks. If we're going to invest that kind of money, it really has to benefit the large number of people possible. Final complication I would bring up is that a lot of times the property owners where you might put in a sidewalk, their property comes right up to the road itself. And so in addition to the construction costs and engineering costs of the sidewalk, you've also got to purchase easements or rights of way from those residents to put the sidewalk on what is essentially their property. And some residents have pushed back because once we put the sidewalk in place, if it's on private property, it's the residents' responsibility to maintain that sidewalk, to keep it clear of snow in the winter and all of that. And sometimes you'll propose a sidewalk. Not all the residents are willing to sign up, particularly if they're older and not in a position to do the required maintenance. So long answer, but basically sidewalks are tough. We don't get a lot of state support. The state is very difficult when it comes to sidewalk repair on state-owned roads. And for even town-owned roads, we're trying to maintain the sidewalks we have, but putting in new ones, it's expensive and the decision-making process is not easy.
John Zagrodzky, our first selectman, if you have a question for him and our new show, which is called Ask the First Selectman, send it along to us, DarianTV79 at gmail.com, and we'll use your question on the air. Thanks for watching another edition of Ask the First Selectman.